For years, I believed that the pain I felt during sex was something I had to endure, a rite of passage, a flaw in my anatomy, or a symptom of being too tight. So, before we get into it, hello, hello. My name is April Federico, the host of In the Pink, where we're redefining wellness from the inside out. And today we are going to talk about something vulnerable, yet something that often goes unnoticed when it comes to women's health. So, long story short, I thought my painful sex was a tight vagina. Turns out it was vaginitis. I chalked it up to nerves, inexperience, or just having a body that didn't quite cooperate. I internalized the discomfort and convinced myself that it was normal. I even tried stretching, thinking I could, loosen up. Spoiler, none of that helped. Eventually, the discomfort became too loud to ignore. So, long story short, I have been dating my boyfriend for 4 years now, and we have an unconventional relationship where we don't get to see each other as often. But when we do, we try to aim for intercourse. But it's always hard for me because my Kegel muscles are quote unquote too tight. But I'm going to get into that later. And I bought a toy per his suggestion, and I was all for it. And at one point, it was getting to be too painful that I started to cry. And I blamed it on the PTSD that I had from a past relationship. But I did what many of us women put off for far too long. I went to my gynecologist. So, what I thought was a tight vagina turned out to be vaginitis, a condition I had barely even heard of, despite how common it is. I'm talking like 3 million women are diagnosed with this per year. So, what is vaginitis? Vaginitis is an umbrella term for inflammation of the vagina that results in discharge, itching, irritation, and sometimes, like in my case, pain during sex. There are several types, including bacterial vaginosis, or BV for short, caused by an imbalance of good and harmful bacteria, yeast infections caused by an overgrowth of Candida fungus. Sorry if I pronounce this wrong, but it's like trichomoniasis. Sorry if I pronounced that totally wrong. But it's a sexually transmitted infection caused by a parasite. Non-infectious vaginitis, often due to allergic reactions, hormonal changes like those from birth control or menopause, or irritants in soaps or laundry detergents. And according to the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, vaginitis is one of the most common reasons women seek out gynecological care. Up to 75% of women will experience a yeast infection at some point during their lives, and bacterial vaginosis is the most common vaginal condition in women aged 15 to 44. Let me repeat that. 15 to 44. Yet, despite these statistics, many of us are taught to dismiss our symptoms and label them as normal. Why I thought it was just me, I don't know. But let's be honest, our society doesn't exactly encourage open conversations like the one we're having right now about female sexual discomfort. We're conditioned to believe that our pleasure is secondary if it's even discussed at all. And that pain is something we just have to push through. We're told to, relax more, use more lubricant, or just drink wine and get out of your head. And thankfully, my boyfriend tells me none of those things. I mean, he did say, like, imagine it's just us, which helped, but it did not help the pain. But but he's been more than supportive throughout this whole journey, and I'm just so grateful to him. Oh my gosh. And the truth is, If sex hurts, even if you're using a vibrator, something is wrong. Vaginal tightness is often a misdiagnosis we give ourselves, when in reality, the underlying issue could be physical, like vaginitis, psychological, like trauma or anxiety, or a combination of both. In my case, the inflammation was real, and once I received the correct treatment, everything changed. So, after my diagnosis, I was prescribed antifungal medication to clear the infection, along with recommendations to support a healthier vaginal environment. I learned about pH balance, hygiene products, the importance of avoiding scented soaps, and the need to be cautious with antibiotics and hormonal shifts, all of which can throw off the vaginal microbiome. But perhaps more importantly, I learned that painful sex is common, but it's not normal. And here's what you should know. If you're experiencing pain during sex, itching, unusual discharge, or irritation, I sound like one of those commercials. Oh my God. Here's what I want you to know. You are not broken. It is not in your head, and you deserve answers. Make an appointment with your gynecologist ASAP or a pelvic floor therapist. Be honest about your symptoms. Advocate for yourself even when you feel embarrassed, because discomfort is not a lifestyle. And if your provider dismisses you, find another one. And never mind that whole weight loss crap. No, none of that BS. Your comfort and health are worth the effort. And just some final thoughts. I wish I had known sooner that what I was feeling wasn't just how sex is. I wish I had known that vaginitis is common, treatable, and not something to be ashamed of. If you're reading this and or listening to this and nodding your head, please let this be your sign to stop minimizing your pain and start seeking answers ASAP. Your body is not a problem to fix. It's a story to understand, and that understanding begins with listening to your symptoms and honoring your intuition. So, I hope that helped some woman out there or anyone transitioning. And I really hope that this podcast can continue to help others in the future. I'm starting to do these Wellness Wednesdays for real this time, like I tried to do on the sister podcast, Brownies for Breakfast. Um, but I really want to continue in the pink lifestyle. Follow me on Instagram at the April Federico. I'll put all this in the show notes, and I will see you next time. Bye.